Hey Malcolm, welcome back to the Midweek Update.
In today's episode, we take a look at the history of video games, a Star Wars-inspired short film, Emergency Preparedness Day, and a preview of Sheep in the Meadow.
This and more on this week's Midweek Update. I'm Jake Maxwell.
And I'm Kyle McQuillan, and welcome back to the Midweek Update, the B&B show that brings you closer to the people and places in and around the Mepham community.
You know what I've been looking forward to this week, Kyle?
What?
This week's hot take.
Wait, I have one. Here's this week's hot take. We don't have one. Very mellow and not opinionated time here at Midweek, but I'm sure we will have one in the next episode.
Seriously, that's all I was thinking about over the long weekend.
Okay, wait, that's all you did? Not even like play video games or something?
No, but if it means anything, I'm sure Ariel Boodhram played plenty.
Pac-Man has been a classic game throughout video game history. Its music, sound effects, and graphics are iconic, giving a sense of nostalgia to all who hear it. But this doesn't only happen with Pac-Man, but with all games from this time period.
When I was really little, I remember playing Duck Hunt, and it was like this little, you can kind of call it a duck. It was a bunch of little pixels flapping around the screen, and you would have like a little gun that, you tried to shoot the little ducks. Or the nostalgia that comes with these video games brings back old memories to life. Ian Samaru has been playing video games since he was a kid, and as an adult, reflects on what they mean to him.
Playing those games from when I was growing up, they're remind me of like a timepiece. So it's playing the games at that time in a specific in that specific era. You get to it encapsulates that moment. So it takes you back to that nostalgia.
But video games are so much more than just memories, but also forms of art. And as time continued, video games have evolved as well. Lisa Kalish is an art teacher who explains how art from the past influences art today.
We've also been able to take what we have learned from all of the artists that have come before us, and while back years ago artists were doing things for the first time, now we're doing it for the millionth time, and then putting our own spin on it and incorporating the various mediums together. So you can see the gradual change over time, and then you can also see the big picture change when you look at what qualifies as art now versus art from eons ago.
Video game art from the past has shaped many new games today. Games like Street Fighter had to come before the iconic game Call of Duty. Jay Styles is an employee at the Video Game Trading Post in Levittown and shares how video game art today compares to that of the past.
Yeah, definitely. I think back then it was a lot more primitive. They had less to work with, but they still made it work, and now we have all this like new technology that's allowing all these games to look like movies, basically, is like kind of the comparison I draw sometimes. But it's definitely come a very, very long way, I would say, from like the old school days in like the 80s, 90s.
Art is timeless and continues to bring people together. Through the evolution of many of our favorite characters like Pac-Man and Mario, it shows us how far we've come and how far we're going. For B&B, I'm Ariel Boodhram.
That's such a cool thing to think about. I bet the people making video games have to be super creative.
Oh, totally. And everything entertaining takes a lot of creativity.
Now, Jake, would you say movies are both entertaining and need creativity?
You know what? I would say that. I also say that a great example are the 9-shot movies B&B makes yearly.
Oh yeah, those are really cool. The movie's set to tell a story throughout using only 9 separate angles. Here's a look at one done by Anthony Chiffo.
There's no running away this time. Tell me where the Jedi is.
I am the Jedi.
So you're really as strong as they say. It's a shame your power is going to such a useless cause.
Useless?
The rebellion's destruction is inevitable at the hands of Darth Vader.
Is he your king?
He is my lord. Why fight for a hopeless cause? Why not join me, and together we can secure the safety of the galaxy under the Galactic Empire?
Never. You killed my master.
You have so much anger built up inside of you. If only it was put to good use.
I will never secede to the Empire.
Then you must fall alongside the rest of your rebellion.
You can't get me now.
Hold on. Yeah, I can.
What a cool movie. If you want to see more of the 9 Shots, make sure to check out the B&B's first film fest of this year.
Yeah, especially because one is featuring yours truly.
Okay, Jake. Anyway, can we talk about how great it was to get out of school early last week?
It was really great, but I have a feeling that there's a bigger reason why we got out early just than a longer weekend. Here's Mia Haffner with more on that.
Last Friday, October 11th, was our Emergency Preparedness Day. This is a day at MEPM where we complete drills that are important to practice in case of an emergency.
It's important in a sense of practicing the drills, so if there's a real emergency, the students and the teachers are familiar with the procedures that the school district has in place.
We practice lockdowns at 1:30 p.m., early dismissal, and other safety precautions to prepare for unexpected events.
An evacuation or go-home procedure may be necessary, but the safest option in this situation is for students and staff to leave the building.
Overall, it is a very necessary day to ensure the safety of students and staff at MEPM. Well, that's all from me. I'm Mia Haffner, sending it back to the studio.
Thanks, Mia. That makes a lot more sense now. But I really like getting out of school early. It gave me plenty of time to focus on homework.
I know what you mean. Listening to some music or podcast, just locking in.
Well, it's funny you mentioned podcasts, Jake, because I've actually been looking forward to the new episode of Sheep in the Meadow.
You're kidding. That's what Ariel Boodhram is here to talk about to us.
Thanks, guys. As the school year is progressing, teachers, staff, and other students around the building are becoming more and more familiar. But sometimes there's more to somebody than what we just see. During the Sheep in the Meadow podcast, host Luke Yepez sits down with various MEPM guests and gets to know them a little bit more about who they are outside of the school. This year, he's taking on a co-host. Let's find out who it is.
I'm so glad to have you as a co-host now. I'm glad to be here. I'm gonna let you go first in our Jenga game.
Genuinely appreciate that.
Throw some clothes on, run out the door. Where do I go? I go to get some coffee and some boba tea.
I can see your halo. Halo. Stop looking at me like that.
I'm gonna go for this one. It also doesn't help that the table is very wobbly. Wobbly.
Oh, you're so big. Off-putting? Now, you might not know what the word epitaph means, considering your slow, sad, small brain. Spin that wheel. Spin that thing.
So glad Jacob is now the new co-host, and I can't wait to spend the rest of the year with him.
Yep.
Just make sure you guys tune in for new episodes, new segments, and new sheep content.
Merch. 2 more. 1 more each. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, look at that.
Great. Looking forward to seeing more of Jacob across the B&B YouTube page. Speaking of, make sure to head on over to the YouTube page to check out more episodes of Sheep in the Meadow. This latest episode is a spotlight on somebody everyone around MEPM knows and loves, Liz, the athletic trainer. And that's all from me. I'm Ariel Boodhram, sending it back to the studio.
Thanks, Ariel. I'm really looking forward to the new episode now.
You know what? I'm looking forward to the Mets versus the Dodgers game tomorrow.
That's a bit out of left field. But speaking of Luke Yepez, here he is with our sports.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's get right into our midweek sports as we begin to approach the end of the fall season. Let's jump right into it, starting with our football team, who have a game against New Hyde Park this Saturday after beating Jericho this past Thursday. Moving on to soccer, where our boys have a game Thursday after playing MacArthur yesterday, and our girls have a game today against Herrick, and then also have a game on Friday against Manhasset at home. Next, let's talk about our volleyball teams, where our girls had a game yesterday against Long Beach and have a game today against Southside. So make sure to stop by and support, and if you can't, make sure to tune in on the B&B YouTube channel to catch the coverage. Finally, the boys volleyball team has a game Thursday against Oceanside. That's all we got for sports in this midweek. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Luke. Kyle, is that the guy from Sheep in the Meadow?
I think this episode has been such a roller coaster.
You're right, but unfortunately, it is the end of the episode. Make sure to tune in next week for even more news stories around the BMCHSD to bring you inside parts of the community that we don't always get to see. Until then, I'm Jake Maxwell.
And I'm Kyle McQuillan, and we'll see you next midweek.
Second.